Hello everyone, this is Ross Mullins with YourDailyAnalysis.com, and this is your free daily video. I'm going to begin today on the NZD-USD New Zealand dollar versus the US dollar. We'll start on the daily chart because we want to get an overview of what the trend's been doing over the past several months. We have seen a rise from the 7400s down here at the bottom left-hand side of the chart all the way up into the 8400s near 8500. With our last spike high. And we've been talking about and recognizing this trend with this upward facing trend line over the past several weeks and months as the trend continued to press higher into those new highs. Recently, since the beginning of February, we've seen the market move into a bit of a channel, and we've highlighted that over the last several weeks. In the past few days, we have seen a change in this pattern, where prior to last week, we saw higher highs and higher lows. In the most recent days, particularly the last 3 or 4 days, we have seen a change in that pattern where we have seen a fall in the lows and a fall in the highs. The last 3 or 4 days have been moving lower into the 8100 level, primarily finding support right around 8100. Now moving back up a little bit. I think the key to this trend analyzation is that we have broken underneath the previous trend line, the open and close. A few days ago we saw an open and close under that trend line, and now we're seeing a little retest higher. For now, as long as it's underneath this trend line, we have to assume that the trend, there is a possibility that the trend has changed, and we're going to be looking for further movement down until we see a change in that pattern. So at this point, our focus, or at least my focus, is for the downside, looking for resistance points to sell this. We have two different trend lines here. The uptrend line, which was already broken, and the downtrend line, recognizing the most current trend that's we've been involved with over the past 4 or 5 days since the highest high up here into the upper 8400s. So I'm looking for resistance points within this downward movement for selling opportunities. A real good selling opportunity presents itself into the previous supports within the uptrend. And that's highlighted here with the purple and yellow shaded areas. Those previous supports now become resistance. So let's take it down to the 4-hour chart. And there's that yellow and purple area highlighting the previous supports within the range that we had during the month of February. Back in here, we saw these supports in the 8200s, 8260, 70, 80. In this area became support for the range within February. So those supports now become possibilities for resistance. So we take our fibs and we measure the current trend range, which is the lowest low that we see here on the 4-hour chart, back to the highest high. And we can see currently we're finding resistance at the 786 fib. The 0.786 is at 81.77. That's where the current market is stalled out for a bit. The next fib that comes into play for that same trend range is the 618. 0.618 is at 82.40. 82.40, and I'll highlight it in the pink color so we can really get a glimpse of where it is. There's your next fib that it comes into contact with. That's your next resistance point within the downtrend. If it tests into there, that presents an opportunity for resistance. Just above that and a little bit higher, and I'll add in additional line here for us so we can so we don't have to erase any of the other lines. 82.83, 50% retracement of this down run. 82.83 is the 50% retracement. That happens to sit right at the top part of this purple shaded area, and that is within those previous supports, which again will become resistance. So somewhere within the range of this yellow and purple area, I'll be looking for resistance within the current downtrend. Just above that, if we go a little bit higher, the 382 sits up here closer towards the 83.30 level. That's within the midst of this congestion, within the midst of the channel from February. Again, all of these present potential resistance points within the current downtrend. The current downtrend that's been in place since the highs up here at 8,500. All those present resistance points. I would likely look for resistance closer to these previous supports. Somewhere within the yellow and purple area would be an ideal resistance point to take this back down in the direction of the current trend. Be a little bit cautious though. If it breaks this black trend line here, in fact, let me change the color of this other one so we know exactly which one I'm talking about. The black trend line that's currently on the page, if it breaks above this, there is, of course, some expectation it could push a little bit higher, and even as high as the mid to upper 8300s is a possibility to test back into the longer term trend line. But a little bit of caution on the break of the black trend line, but I think we will be looking for some at least temporary resistance into these previous supports for the New Zealand dollar today. Thanks for joining me for this free daily video. If you would like to subscribe to my premium service where I cover analysis for 7 major currency pairs every day, you can start your 10-day trial by clicking the Get Started button below. And feel free to leave any comments you have about today's video in the comment area. Have a great day in the markets.